Hello, everybody, and welcome the to today's show. Before we start, I'm just gonna go over the schedule for this week. So, obviously, there's a show today and tomorrow. Nothing on Thursday. It is my birthday. Um, I am working on some thing. I behind the scenes, I am working on some stuff for future videos, such as I'm working on lining up interviews with the University of North Florida men's basketball team players after their season is over. I've already got in contact with their coach, and we have coordinated. It's probably going to be around April, May, or April when we do those interviews. But in the meantime and in between time, today's show episode is on my college basketball top 25. And let's get right to it. Hold up. Let me get the right one up. There we go. Here is my college basketball top 25 for this week. Again, these are done based on how the teams play. So let's get started. So number 25 is Kansas State. Kansas State has been playing tremendous over the last few weeks, and they much deserve this ranking at number 25. And I think with a couple weeks, a month plus a couple days in March of the season left, they maybe can move up the rankings. At number 24 is Florida. This is the second time this year they've been in the rankings. If you don't know, they had a big upset win over Auburn over the weekend. At number 23 is Ohio State. Ohio State, yes, I know what people are going to say. Ohio State doesn't deserve to be ranked. I can see your avenue for that, but let's be real here. Ohio State over the last couple of weeks, I know they've struggled and lost a few games here or there, but I think that they will turn that around and they will be just fine. I think Ohio State back in the rankings, I think they can ascend and keep winning games. Number 22, FAU. FAU got upset in overtime during the week on Thursday by UAB. And I'm still, and this is how it's been for the last couple weeks. I'm hesitant to move FAU anywhere under that 20 line, under number 20, because if I feel like if I do, they're gonna lose, and then they're gonna end up falling out of the rankings. At number 21, I just spoke of them a minute ago. It is UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham. They had a huge upset over FAU this week, and I like how UAB's played all year long. I think UAB is a sleeper team to win the American. At number 20, the Indiana State Sycamores. The 6 of Indiana State. I absolutely admire how they've been playing, and it is appetizing to watch their games. Yes, you see at number 19, Auburn. Auburn fell. They were inside the top 10. They fell down 9 spots after losing to Florida. And to say I'm surprised by that is an understatement. I did not have that as an upset over the weekend, but actually, yes, I did have that on Saturday as one of my upsets. And again, I was right. At number 18, North Alabama. Yes, they're the new A-Sun team that's in the rankings that's going to keep ascending and moving up. Okay, I was just making sure of something. At number 17, another new team in the rankings, Oakland University. Oakland University has been playing really, really, really good this year. I enthusiastically am very, very surprised how good Oakland University has been this year. At number 17, that was number 17. At number 16, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's another team that just keeps sticking around. They keep hanging around in there. And I enjoy watching Big 12 basketball. The Big 12 is absolutely stacked this year in college basketball. It is stacked to beyond belief. And it's a gauntlet if you play in the Big 12. And I feel bad for some Big 12 teams. At number 15, South Carolina. South Carolina's another team that just keeps every week. They keep diddly-daddling their way, moving up the standings. And I love how South Carolina's been playing. This is the first time in program history that they've been ranked in the top 25. Before this year, they were never ranked in the top 25. At number 14, next at number 14, Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin's had a 0-2 weekend, 0-2 week last week. They were inside the top 10 last week. And they lost, so they dropped all the way to 14. I believe that they could turn this around. I don't think it's going to be this week particularly, because you'll see in a minute, they're in my bold predictions for this week for college basketball. A new segment, a new block of the show that I am debuting today. But I do like Wisconsin still. I think they're one of the best teams in the Big Ten. At number 13, Dayton. Dayton's another team that was inside the top 10 last week. They went 1-1 last week. And personally, I think they could do better than that. And I think they can get back into the top 10. Number 13, Kentucky. Number 12, Kentucky. Kentucky is a team that I love. I like their guards a lot. Tyrese Proctor, Antonio Reeves. I like Kentucky's guard play a lot. I just need to see consistency. That's my issue with Kentucky. Is 1 week they go 2-0, the next week they go 1-1. They haven't had a week necessarily where they've gone 0-2, but they've got a big game on Saturday against Tennessee. And speaking of Tennessee, number 11 is Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, college basketball fans, you need to feast your eyes on the Tennessee Volunteers and Dalton Knecht. Dalton Knecht is one of the best players in college basketball. One of the best. I'm not going to say the best. He's one of the best players in college basketball. At number 10, Arizona. Another guy that's had a really good year is Caleb Love. Yes, if that name sounds familiar, that's because he was a North Carolina. He was at UNC last year and he transferred to Arizona. He's upticked his points from, I think he had like 11 or 12 last year at North Carolina, up to 18 and a half points at Arizona. At number 9, Baylor. Baylor, the reason they've stuck right around 9, 10, 11, and sometimes number 8 is because of how they play at home. You cannot beat them on their home court. And I take that very, very seriously when I make these rankings. At number 8, Iowa State. Iowa State's another team in the Big 12 that is really, really good. Really good. I enjoy watching them. At number 7, and you may say this is too high for them, is South Florida. Now, you see number 22 in my rankings? South Florida, number 7. Number 22 and number 7 in my rankings play each other this week on Sunday. And you might see that those two teams in a segment I'm debuting in a few minutes on the show. Be on the lookout for that segment. But anyway, South Florida. If you're going to tell me at the beginning of the season that South Florida was going to be at the top of the AAC, I would have looked at you and said, they have a new head coach. They have a lot of transfers. Are you okay? I didn't, because I'm like, I believe in Coach Amir Abdul-Rahim. I saw what he was capable of at Kennesaw State. He took a 1-28 Kennesaw State team and helped them make the NCAA tournament. Can he do the same thing at USF? I believe he can. And USF is number 7 in my rankings for that reason. Number 6, Houston. Houston had a big game this past weekend against Kansas and lost. I do think Houston can return to the top 5 if the teams in front of them lose. At number 5, North Carolina. North Carolina was tied for 4th with Kansas with somebody last week. I think it was either Texas. It was somebody that was in the top 4 that it was Houston. They were tied for 4th with Houston. But this week they're number 5. I do like how they've been playing, and I think they can ascend to the top of the ACC like they already are, and I think they can win the ACC in basketball. At number 4, Kansas. Kansas is another team that is really, really good. I like how Kansas has been playing a lot, and I think Kansas is one of the best teams in the Big 12. At number 3, another Big 12 team, Texas Tech. The Red Raiders are in the top 3 for the first time this year. And Grant McCaskey is the head coach at Texas Tech. And they have been playing really, really good. Really good. At number 2, Purdue. Purdue is a team that I didn't think was going to stick in the top 5 all this time, but they have, and I have been shocked how good Purdue's has been. And at number 1, do they need an intro? UConn, the best team in the Big East. Now my players of the week. The AAC Co-Players of the Week. Yaxel Lindeberg from UAB. And it's not because of the amount of points he scored. It's the rebounds. He had 21 rebounds in a win, overtime win against FAU during the week. And in that same game, John L. Davis had a big game, even in a losing effort to UAB. So those are your AAC Co-Players of the Week. In the Big Ten, Roddy Gale Jr., Ohio State. Roddy Gale Jr. single-handedly helped Ohio State beat Maryland in double overtime over the weekend on Saturday. If you were going to tell me that Roddy Gale was going to have a good game on Saturday, I would have looked at you and said, no, he's not. It's going to be Bruce Thornton. Bruce Thornton was the reason Ohio State made it to overtime. Roddy Gale put the team on his back at double overtime and helped Ohio State in the losing streak they were on. The SEC, and this is how this is going to be the rest of the year. The SEC Player of the Week is Zion Poulin from Florida. He had a big game in their win against Auburn. Zion Poulin is a name to keep your eye on for the ASUN. Again, for the 7th time in 10 weeks, Chaz Lanier. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Chaz Lanier is a walking bucket. He gets 30 points on the daily for UNF every game they play. In his last 5 games, he's averaging 32.5, almost 33 points. You're not going to tell me that that's nothing to scoff or sneeze at. That's nothing to sneeze at. 32.5 points in your last 5 games. That's almost NBA. In a way, that's almost NBA-like. The Big 12 Player of the Week is Jamal Shead from Houston. Great defender. He does score occasionally. And now my games to watch. So, no, hold on. My bold predictions for college basketball this week. Number 1 bold prediction. Ohio State upsets either Wisconsin or Purdue this week. Now, if Ohio State plays the way they played against Maryland, I think they can upset both Wisconsin and Purdue. If they play that way against Maryland, but if they turn the ball over, they may be upset one of them or neither. If they play clean basketball, I think they can pull the upset against Wisconsin and Purdue. Bold prediction number 2. And this is personally my favorite one. It is South Florida beats Florida Atlantic on Sunday. This Sunday. I know it says next Sunday because I was going to do this last night. But that is this Sunday. And you bet your bottom dollar I will be watching it. Now, bold prediction number 3. Again, this is probably my second favorite one. Is North Florida beats both Queens and Kennesaw State. I think they can beat both. They've already beaten both once. It'd be a season sweep if they could beat both Kennesaw State and Queens. And number 4 bold prediction. Either Chaz Lanier or Kason Pryor goes off for 25 points this week. I said either because I know Chaz Lanier is going to go off for at least 25 points in one of the two games that North Florida plays this week. In games to watch this week in college basketball. Tonight, you've got number 4, Kansas in my rankings, and number 3, Texas Tech at 7 p.m. Tuesday, you've got Iowa State, Cincinnati at 7 p.m. Wednesday is a loaded slate. You've got on Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Horizon League, you've got Purdue Fort Oakland and Purdue Fort Wayne. You've got in the AAC, you've got Tulsa and South Florida. And in the SEC, you got South Carolina, Auburn. Friday in the A-Sun, you've got North Florida at Kennesaw State. Saturday's kind of busy. You've got at noon in the Big 12, you've got Iowa State, Texas Tech. At 1 o'clock in the SEC, you've got Georgia, Florida. At 4 o'clock in the Big 12, you've got Cincinnati, UCF. And at 8 o'clock in the SEC on Saturday, you've got Kentucky and Auburn. In our record from college basketball picks last week, we had a subpar week. We went 10-22. But we can always bounce back this week with upset picks, and I think we will. Now we are going to preview the second half of the Orlando Magic's schedule for the season. So tomorrow night at 7:30 on TNT, they play the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'm also going to give you win and loss, whether they win the game or they lose it. OKC, I think that's probably going to be a loss. So they go into the All-Star break. Take into account they're on a 2-game winning streak. This OKC game is a coin toss. It could be a win. It could be a loss. I think they win against OKC, so they go into the All-Star break on a 3-game winning streak. They come out. They play the New York Knicks on the 14th. Oh, no. The Knicks is their last game before the break. I think they lose to the Knicks, so they're 1-1 going into they split their 2 games that are left. And then they come out of the break and they play Cleveland at Cleveland. I think they lose to the Cavs, so that makes them 1-2. So they finish the first half at 1-1. They start the second half at 0-1. Then they play at Detroit. That's a win, so they're 1-1. Then they play Atlanta at Atlanta. Atlanta always gives the Magic issues, but I think they beat Atlanta, so they're 2-1 now in the second half of the season. Then they play Brooklyn at home. I think that's a win, so they're 3-1. They play Utah at home, 4-1. That's a win. Detroit at home, win, 5-1. So that's a 5-game winning streak after losing to Cleveland. Charlotte at Charlotte, win, 6-1. They play the Wizards at Washington, win, 7-1. So a 7-game winning streak going into their game against the Knicks at MSG. I think that's where they lose their second game. So they're 7-2. Then they play the Pacers. That's a win. That's a loss. So they're 7-3. Then they play the Nets again. That's a win. 8-3. Then they play Toronto at Toronto. That should be a win. So that's 9-3. Then they play Toronto again. Win. 10-3. Charlotte, that's a win. 11-3. New Orleans lost 11-4. Sacramento lost 11-5. Golden State lost 11-6. LA Clippers lost 11-7. Grizzlies win 12-7. Portland win 13-7. At New Orleans lost 14-8. Charlotte win 15-8. Chicago win 16-8. 17-8 after beating the Rockets. 17-9 after losing 17. So we're gonna finish the regular season, the second half of the season, 17-13, which were 25, 29-24. The calculator, so we go. So 29 plus 43 wins is what the Magic are going to finish with. But we're going to redo this again. So they play OKC tonight, win. New York loss. So they're 1-1. Then they play at Cleveland after the All-Star break, loss. So they're 1-2. At Detroit, win. At Atlanta, win. So they're 2-1 coming out of the break. 3-1 after they beat Brooklyn. So OKC was a win. Knicks loss. Cleveland loss. Detroit win. So they're 2-2. No, 2-1. They're going to be 3-1 after they beat Atlanta. 4-1 after they beat Brooklyn. 5-1 after they beat the Jazz. 6-1 after they beat Detroit. 7-1 after they beat 8-1 after they beat Charlotte and Washington. 8-2 after they lose. 8-3 after they lose to the Knicks and the Pacers. 11-4 after they beat the Nets, and then they beat the Raptors twice. 12-4 after they beat the Hornets. 12-6. 12-9 after they lose to New Orleans, Golden State, Sacramento, and the Clippers. 13-9 after they beat Memphis. 14-9 after they beat Portland. 14-10 after they beat the Hornets. No, lose to New Orleans. 15-10 after they beat 16-10 after they beat Charlotte and Chicago. 17-10 after they beat Houston. 17-11 after they lose to Milwaukee. 17-12 after they lose to Philly. And 17-13 after they lose to Milwaukee again. So they finish the second half of the season 17-13. And we need the calculator again. They have 29 wins right now. You add 17 more to that. 46. So they go 46. And they have 24. 26 losses right now. So 46. So 46. They go 46 and 41 to finish out the second half of the season. And to all of you, I do offer memberships and merch. The merch has been updated. It is up on the YouTube site. And the memberships start at as low as 99 cents a month. And the cheapest one is $14.99 a month. I highly recommend purchasing a membership. I'm not forcing you to do it. If you want to do it, you can. It helps grow the channel, and it's much appreciated if you do end up purchasing a membership. But that'll do it. I will see you guys at 11 o'clock for more for college football. Too early. Win predictions, record, and schedule predictions. So that'll do it for the early episode of this. I will see y'all in an hour and a half at 11 o'clock.